Okay, so here are the three Teles that we're talking about. On the left, that is an original 63 Custom Telecaster. In the middle is a Squire Classic Vibe from 2010 or so, which is the alder body model. Now it's been modified a lot, but that's what it is. And then the one on the right is a mostly stock Squire vintage vibe or classic vibe from about the same year, 2010s or so, because it's an alder model as well, alder body. And I think on this one, the saddles have been replaced by compensated brass saddles, but otherwise it's had a moderate setup, but is mostly stock. So we're going to see how the two on the right measure up to what they're supposed to be replicas or copies of that guitar on the left. So here we go. Let's jump in with the original one first. And that's what we're going to compare everything to. So here comes the 63. So all of this is going to be done with the amp set the same. It's a Princeton, it's a hand-wired clone, and it's something I use for recording a lot, and it's set at a moderate volume, not very loud, so it doesn't distort the microphone or anything like that, but it sounds good. It's a good moderate volume. Okay, here's that original 63, and it's been refretted, plays really well. So it's a player, and it's not mine, actually. It belongs to a good friend of mine who loaned it to me for a while. And I've recorded several different things on this guitar, and I know Chris Rodriguez has recorded on this one and a bunch of other artists as well. But anyway, I've got it for now. So here's a little bit of lead pickup on the original 63 Telecaster. Nice and jangly. It's got the classic radius, so 7 1/4, I think. So it chokes a little, but not bad. So that's the lead pickup, and that's really what I shoot for on these comparisons. Now, middle position is pretty useful for me too, and this one sounds great in middle position. Get the idea. Okay, front pickup. It's pretty hot output on that one, but not very bright. Obviously bluesier. Okay, so that's kind of what these other ones are supposed to sound like. I can tell you the neck is a little bit bigger on this guitar than other custom Telecasters that I've played. This is a 63. They're usually a C-shaped neck that's a little bit shallow in the middle of the neck, but this one's pretty full, not 50 style or anything. And the headstock is a certain thickness, and I haven't measured it, but I can tell just by looking at it that the headstock is thicker on this guitar than it is on the Squire Classic Vibes. knob position is a little bit different. It could be just the size of the knobs. It's easier to get to the pickup selection switch on a Tele. That is my nemesis. Actually trying to get the selector switch into the other position without, you know, pulling the knob off or turning the volume down or whatever. So it's not as close on this guitar as it is on the other two, and it could be the size of the knobs, the throw of the switch, could be anything. Let's see. Obviously, you know, that stuff is all reissued. This is original. I can tell you that the bridge is a different thickness as well. But for the most part, it sounds a lot like what those classic vibes, you know, sound like, without putting it under a microscope too much. Okay, let's get to playing the other ones. So now we're going to play that one. So the one from the far left. Now this is the Squire Classic Vibe. I think I called it Vintage Vibe a while ago, but it's Classic Vibe from about 2010, which is the alder bodied series that they had, and those are the ones that I like. Now I was kind of on a quest because I can't really afford a 63 Telecaster. But I thought, you know, if I could get an alder body that wasn't too heavy, just see what I could do with one of these things. So I ended up with two of them, and I left this one mostly stock, and then I modified the other one. We'll hear the other one in a minute, but this one is most of what you would get if you bought yourself a Squire Classic Vibe Tele. Now this one, the finish is pretty good on it. Some of them can be really distinct between the colors, and that's more like a late 60s style burst than the one that I was just playing, which is this actual 63. But this one is a pretty good fade. It's pretty good. It's pretty nice. Okay, when I was telling you about the bridge plate and control knobs and stuff, the switch is a little closer to the top of the knob with a little less access, but nothing too big. But you know, standard layout. Notice that the pickguard doesn't have as many screws in it, you know. Classic style radius, I don't think it's a 7.25. I haven't measured it, but I can just tell by feel and looking that this one is a flatter radius than the original guitar would be. The thickness of the rosewood, though, on the neck, you probably can't see that all that well, but I'm telling you, because I'm looking at it, it is similar. Yes, the rosewood cap is thin on these guitars, but it was thin on the 63s to begin with. Okay, truss rod adjustment is at the neck there instead of at the base. Tuners, believe it or not, they're knockoff tuners meant to look like the Clusons, but they work pretty well. And this guitar, I just picked it up after not playing it for a while, 2 weeks or so. It's pretty close to being in tune. All right, here's what it sounds like. Feels great to play it. Now it gets a little planky as you go up the neck. Now this is a stock guitar. It hasn't been meticulously gone through, like the fret edges are not dressed really nicely. Now they're not sharp or anything, but they're not dressed like I really like them to be. And the evenness of the frets, you know, the fret height as you come down the neck, and that's going to fluctuate. Now this is a cheaper guitar. There's no way that somebody spent a bunch of money on an employee, you know, planing this down and re-radiusing all these frets to get them perfectly in line. So the action can only go down so low before it starts getting really planky. And this one is a little planky. So if I really grab the string, you know, you can hear it. But for the most part, if you don't dig in too much, it sounds great, and it's a great little guitar, especially to do the Tele thing with. Okay, middle position. So you're hearing a little bit of plankiness come out in this one that's not quite as much on the original 63. Now some of that is because of the fret buzz that we get with the dressing of the neck, and some of that is just this front pickup. The one on the 63 is not as bright as this one is. I also don't feel like this guitar is as loud as that actual 63 is either. It's not because the pickups aren't adjusted up where they're supposed to be. It's just not quite as loud. It's a sweet sounding guitar though. It stays in tune. It plays great, especially with just a little bit of TLC on the fret dressing and getting the pickups adjusted right, so you have a real even volume change as you go through the pickup selections. These are good guitars, which is why I have them sitting here. Okay, now let's listen to the more modified version that I have that's directly behind me. Okay, now here is the heavily modified version, along with the name change at the headstock as well. But it is a Classic Vibe Squire. It is the body and the neck for sure. And I think I left this original as well. Electronics have been changed, but same values. Switch has been changed. It's been wired with a 4-way switch. So in the front position, both pickups are in, what do you call it when they're humbucking? Parallel? Leave a comment or something. I don't remember. But that's what that is in front position, which is a little disconcerting for me because I don't spend a lot of time with the switch, and sometimes it's just habit. You know, I just want to go front pickup. Well, that's not really what that is. It's both these pickups. But the good part of that is it sounds great in that position, so it's just fine. So anyway, lead pickup, both pickups, and then front pickup, and then the humbucking version. So one is reversed. Okay, obviously it has a Fender Bigsby. It has a different bridge and bridge plate along with the Bigsby, and that's kind of the way that you do it. Now I've had them before where I've trimmed down the bridge plate to make the Bigsby work with the stock Fender bridge, but anyway, this one originally was a string through standard bridge. It's been converted. The screw holes are different than the 63. Once again, the rosewood is about the same thickness as 63 is, because I have one sitting right here. Headstock thickness is thinner. This is thinner than a standard 63 maple neck guitar. It's noticeable. It's not, you know, I notice it maybe because I'm looking for it or because I've seen something different. But it doesn't cause any trouble. I mean, I wondered about that when I first got this. You know, if it would stay in tune, if it would be true under tension, you know, when you're bending strings and stuff. And it is. I mean, it does a great job. It doesn't go out of tune or anything. I've actually played this on several relatively big shows, and it's a great guitar. So I was really pleased with how it turned out. Let's see what it sounds like. Yeah, man. Worked over. This is a good one. Yeah, man. I love this thing. Okay, so right off the bat, we'll put these back to back in just a sec, and you'll notice that that pickup is not quite as bright. It's got a little bit more body. And this is one of those, what is it, Jerry Donahue? Yeah, I think that's right. Pickup from Seymour Duncan. And I like it. I like it a lot. The front pickup is standard. Let's get up there. So this is both pickups. Yeah, like it. One thing I was really impressed with this guitar when I got it finished was the sustain. I mean, for a Tele, that's really good. I'm not used to them being quite as responsive and sustaining as this is. Now the body is a little heavier. That's one of the things initially that I didn't like when I got this one. This one weighs more than that standard one that's been left alone over there. Now obviously it has a Bigsby on it, but even before that, this one weighed more than that one. So that's kind of lightweight. And it kind of reflects in the sound. You know, you get one that's got a lightweight alder body and it sounds nice and bright. And sometimes these denser, heavier chunks of wood will tend to have more sustain, but they won't be quite as bright and maybe not feel quite as responsive. I think this one does the best of both worlds, which is exactly what I was looking to do when I got one of these. More comparisons. I put better tuners on this one. These are, I think, the Godot reissues of that particular style of tuner. And the ratio is slower. So the 63, when I'm tuning it, it's like, you know, you barely move the tuning peg and it really moves the string. Now, these are slower, and you can kind of sneak up on the tune a little bit better, I feel like, with these than you can with the 63. This one, the neck has been worked on. I've leveled and redressed all the frets and dressed the ends the way that I like it. And I could pay somebody to do that because I do have a couple of guys I really trust. But I thought, you know, for such a low buck guitar, I wasn't sure how it would turn out. I didn't want to invest just a ton of money in doing that, so I did it myself. The bridge works great. I had to shim the neck to get everything to work the way that I really wanted it to. There's all sorts of combinations that you're looking for in these things. But it just goes back to that same idea, which is you start off with, that's a pretty good guitar, that little classic vibe there, and you put it in the hands of the right person, not just the right player, but the right luthier or guitar tech or guitar repair person, and there's a good chance you're going to end up with a really good guitar, which is cool. Yeah, and right out of the bag, I mean, in the right hands, that thing sounds amazing. Once again, this is kind of an all-around guitar for me, and I really love the sound of it. Okay, here's that humbucking mode. Obviously not as bright. sings. We'll put these back to back here. Let's see what they sound. Yeah, much lighter.